Assalamualaikum, my name is Azmin Suliman. My metric number is 1811453. So for the project presentation, I have chosen a book titled The Complete Idiot's Guide to Understanding Islam, where it was written by Yahiya Emerick. So without further ado, let's begin with on a brief introduction about Yahiya Emerick. So about Yahiya Emerick, he was a former president of the Islamic Foundation of North America, and was also served as vice principal at an Islamic school. He was also a Muslim author. So he was born into an American Protestant Christian family, and he then converted to Islam during his fresh year in 1989 at Michigan State University. So he graduated from Michigan State University in history. On top of that, Emerick has served as a Muslim lecturer, educator, prayer leader, and as well as author. So he founded Amira Publishing, where it was a company that produced book in 1992 to further his goal of publishing American-oriented literature on Islam. So among his work is a complete idiot's guide to understanding Islam and other religion as well, critical life Muhammad, learning about Islam, complete idiot's guide to Rumi mediation, and many more. So after I have read this particular book, I found a lot of important issues that attract my interest to look at, to further understand it. So it basically raises some thought-provoking issues such as does Islam encourage war? What makes a terrorist? Why does God punish abortion and Islam, as well as women's position in Islam? Yeah, it's very interesting to be looked at. So the first issue is that does Islam encourage war? So this question has become hotly debated, and somehow the Western tend to generalize, to label Islam as the religion of war, looking at the recent event where the jihadists, the terrorists, or according to the Western, wage war against others in the name of Islam. So this basically again, is it permissible for Muslim to wage war on non-believers or to kill them without provocation? So this is a very most common misconception among Westerners, and the world, the Muslim world, do nothing to dispel this particular false notion. So in truth is that Islam condemns taking any human life unless it is for a fair justice and according to the law. So such what is the situation that according to the law is basically such as a capital punishment for the convicted murders, fighting in battle, or self-defense. So that for the fair justice, only then can go for war. So in the Islamic perspective, also there's a comment that stated that in Surah Al-An'am, verse 151, stated that don't take a life which Allah has made sacred except by the way of justice and law. So thus does he command you that you may learn wisdom. Yeah, so you cannot simply take others' lives except for by the way of justice and law. And also there's another verse in Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 190 until 194. This command was revealed during a struggle between the first Muslim community and its greater opponent, which is the idol worshippers of Mecca. So the command told the Muslim not to flee from their struggle with oppressors, but to fight back, but to charge headlong into battle with those who had been fighting them mercilessly, that are being attacked them mercilessly. It's for the sake of self-defense, not for the sake of glory and so on. And Islam today is surprisingly Islam, but first we need to know that Islam before that is spread not simply by conquering land. In the Prophet time, it's through the messengers, where the Prophet sent messengers across the world, like Persia, the Persia, Byzantium government, and Egypt and so on, and also through the willing or conversion of many inhabitants. That's how Islam spread. In today's world, Islam has basically expanded significantly. Muslims are becoming more prevalent in North America as well as Europe, as a result of immigration and conversion. Another interesting part, interesting issue that I found very interesting is what makes a terrorist. First, we need to know about the term jihad, since it's said to be associated with terrorism, holy war, terrorism, and so on. That is goes on by the Westerners, non-believers. So we need to know first the real definition of jihad. Jihad means to struggle to or strive or work for something with determination. Study also can acquiring knowledge also can be form of jihad. So what is the real definition is of jihad? However, there's jihad also often associated with the act of physically confronting evil. For example, defending your country from the aggressors, the oppressors. So it's a form of jihad. You fight back for the sake of your country. That's what jihad is. To liberate people that live under oppressive regime and so on, to remove any government that will not allow free practices which against Islam, which is against Islam or practice of Islam. That's what it's called jihad. Then what's this relation with terrorists? Totally is this in Islam is totally against any violence. Basically, theory is activities done by those motivated by passion or rather than spiritual expression that are not supported by Islam. Islamic view is that they are totally against it, and it's because of the misuse of religion to justify violent action. So that's all. So the next issue is that why does God punish? So if, for example, as a Muslim, if Allah love his creatures, but then why he needs to punish us? So as Muslim, we need to remember that we've been born, we live as a human, we have a purpose in this world. So Muslim believe that people in this world are tested in this life to see if they will yield to God's will. Means that they to submit to Allah, follow his instruction, be obedient to Allah, and live a decent life. But can we? So when we live in this life, we somehow must be progress, must progress through 3 stages of self development throughout our life. So we have 3 stages basically. The animal self basic instincts and desires. So in these stages, we have the basic animal instinct. First, as we crave for food, we crave for water, we crave for many more that related to dunya. So here we are being tested. Are we more to dunya, or are we into akhirah? So here, if a human being fail, so they will forever stuck at the dunya. Means that they crave for the worldliness. So the next one is the accusing self higher or the questioning of our purpose. So in this second stage is that we started to questioning our purpose. When we progress to the other level, so we started to question what is our purpose in the dunya, in this world. Are we going to forever stuck in this world, or our purpose is to submit to Allah and more of compete to more for akhirah. So here we're going to start to questioning everything, and slowly we start to progress to the last, which is the restful self-strengthening worldliness as a focus. Here we started to um, start to left the worldliness and more to akhirah, where we focus more in doing what being obstructed to us. So why does God punish again is that if our soul become corrupted or distorted as a result of rejecting God and remaining in the animal's self-state, which we only compete for the dunya, and that makes our soul become corrupted. The next issue is about abortion in Islam. What does Islam say about it? Abortion is totally forbidden in Islam. As what's the reason? It's that you are killing an innocent life. As in the Surah Al-An'am verse 151, is the verse stated that you are prohibited. Allah prohibited you to kill an innocent life. So here, Islam totally against it. However, it has become a popular notion, particularly in the United States, where about person's choice and the ability to birth or to birth or abort. So, in the case of Roe versus Wade, the Constitution of America preserves a pregnant woman's right to seek abortion without excessive government interference. Since the amendment has been made in the highest law, the Constitution, so government cannot interfere at all. So means that they allow, they encourage it. Which totally against with Islam, with that preserve life. Life is valuable. So some excuses being used is that a lack of resources. As a Muslim, the baby bring rizki to us. The rizki means the gift of Allah. Allah reward us with the gift. Means that if we abhor, means that we rejected Allah gift. We rejected rizki. So is that we are not being grateful. And on top of that, some other excuse is the preference of a male child over a female child. Back then in Arab, female child will be buried alive, and they only care for a male child. Which so then, are we going to bring back this culture? And any exception. So for abortion, there's an exception. Only one, which if there's the option, which is less evil, choose the more less evil. So that what Islam says about abortion. For example, that if the abortion is needed to save a mother's life, yes, you can go for it. If not, you can go for it. So that's all about abortion. So the last issue that I found very interesting is about women's position in Islam. So what does Islam say about women position in Islam? Okay, first we need to know that somehow we live in a male-dominated society. I am as a male also observe that women have always had to fight for the spot, for the equality and acceptance. Then in the job context, most of the time job were dominated by men. Only a couple, only in politics as well, only 30% of quota being allocated for women. So somehow there's an equality over there. And in Surah An-Nisa verse 1, it stated that the surah stated that to acknowledge all women are descended from the same group and hence of one another's flesh and blood. So that's what Islam say about men and women. So everyone should be treated equally since they are descended from the same root. Why you have to differentiate between all these women and men? And then again, what about women's right in Islam? Okay, in this one, in the Surah Al-Baqarah verse 228, women have the same right as well as men, where women are also allowed to have a job, to have ambitions, and so on. Yeah, and in a marriage, It's not necessarily women that have to do all the job. Men as well need to contribute to the marriage as well. It's men's responsible as well. It's not like you're married, all your work should be done by women. This is very false notion that should be changed. So yeah, that's all from me.